It all went wrong the other day when the day slipped away and I chased a dream, went round the bend, and I ended up right here again, trying to plant the tree. Strange old man confronted me. When it grows tall, something might fall, you'll be the blame for it all. Got that. Yeah. A note to self when starting the stream, do it through the proper thing, because otherwise you'll be streaming to nobody. So right, let's see if this works. What I'm trying to do right now is create. I've managed to make a delegate that I can register in, so pass in using blueprints to use it. So I'm just trying to create the little notification database thing that I need. One of the problems I have is that this is undefined, so that means that this, which needs to be public, should be put here, which means that I need to then also say private. Try again. I'm trying to find me a place where I can be. Not that compiled, so something, I guess. So what I'm trying to do is to create an array, a map from strings to arrays of delegates. When I do a notify, then what I need to do is copy, paste. I'm trying to program with one hand here. What's this? What's this? Add key. Oh, well, there's a list, an array. I need to take that array and then work with it. So I guess what I'll need to do is get the array. So I suppose I can do, well, it won't be a constant, but I'm going to do a reference to the array. So I think what I need to do is a T array, and well, confuse people. I say list. I mean, I just mean an array. I mean, whatever. Conceptually, it's a list. I'm going to call it list. I mean, why not? Equals notify map, and we're going to do find or add on the key. Drum roll. Why doesn't it like it? Oh, yeah. So I have to say what it is, which is F notice delegate. Oh. Right. So what we have there, yeah, good. So that's an array. Great. So I've got myself a list of delegates for a particular key. Then what I want to do is I need to append to this. So I don't know, depends what facilities are given. Oh, look at that. Oh, right, because maybe I didn't have autocomplete. I was thinking that IntelliSense was broken, but it's not. We can have an add. Well, let's do an add. We add. Can I have the arguments, please? Trying to reduce the amount of annoyance pop-ups, but it's gone to the other extreme. I can do it. Right, so it wants a const reference. It wants a reference to it. So I think I probably can just do that, but we'll see. Yes, okay. It's not upset with me for doing that. So what this will do is find the list. It's actually an array, but find the array of delegates associated with a particular key and add this function to it. Shoms, hello, how you doing? Mega Days hero, that's it. Mega Days. I'm still in a daze. Thank you very much. But I'm working with real now. How are you doing? So, what I want to do is just make sure that nothing breaks at this point. It'll do nothing. I'm hoping it doesn't crash. Let's save. Go. Oh, that's a very good impression of not crashing. Yes. Oh, that's good. So I think it's going to have added it to the list. Very nice. Now, fingering of a mandolin is like a violin, not guitar, so it's a bit confusing sometimes. I think what I'll do is create the. I think I have what I need mostly, actually. Oh, wait a minute, I need to deal with types. Oh, what a pain. There's a set notice. Oh, types. Oh, yeah, there's something I'd have to think about. Most of the programming goes on up here. Question is, I need to figure out how to handle a value type that could be any value. This always happens at some point. Like, I need my notice to be able to be any type. So what's a good way? Well, there's a ton of ways. You know what the best way is in the end? Void pointer. My hesitation for using void pointers has got absolutely nothing to do with the void pointer. It has everything to do with what people will think if I use a void pointer. Yeah, I know. No, actually, the rules round here is you can disturb my flow as much as you like, because most of the I find that as I get older and older, my desire for writing lines of code as opposed to thinking about code, it's I think about the code more than. It's like, why am I not typing right now? Why am I talking to you? It's because I've got a decision to make. I'm letting it brew over in my head. It's like, do we go with...
Hello, Dino.
Yes, Hal. Polymorphic data type. You know, all derived from a base object. Either that I make myself or I go and try and find in the documentation. Thing is, I've been here. What will happen is that if you go and look for something that Unreal provides for doing this, you'll find it'll work with everything except that. Right when you need that. So it's like, you can make your own polymorphic data thing. I've done that. Yeah, it's just for the sake of trying to do what? You run around and create a great mess, and then in the end, if you've just done it simply with a void pointer, and it always comes back to void pointers being the most elegant way of solving the problem, and you just need to do it carefully or with a certain pattern or a certain approach. So I'm going void pointer. Anyone got a problem with that? Do you? If you have a problem with me, and well, and just watch out for when I use a go-to. Hey, Jean, how you doing? Happy New Year to you too. Yeah. No problems with void, but Shums over there is okay with void pointers. That's fine. Shall we go over to Stack Overflow and talk about void pointers? Can we? Can we do that? It'd be fun. Just what? Yeah. That would be like throwing the fresh salmon amongst the seagulls. I can see them all now. It's like, oh, yeah. that's good to know. That's good to know, Shoms, because yeah, I'll keep that in mind. And yeah, I could probably use your help for my next Stack Overflow thing. I kind of don't use it that much these days. When I do, I mean, I use it when it's a tough question problem, but what I find is I'm always reading the Stack Overflow pages from the bottom up. You've got the most popular answer right at the top of the page, and the best answer is usually right at the bottom. And then and probably the best answer is the one that uses void pointers, which is right at the bottom and also has been has negative votes. That's it. And some sarcastic comment on it that says something like, "You should use the language in the way it was intended." Oh, am I that? Do I have that bad a reputation, Shoms? Really? Please say I do. Pen. Oh my god, that crazy guy. That guy who uses go-tos. When it's appropriate. And I use void pointers when it's appropriate. And they're appropriate right now. So hold on to your hats and watch some void pointer action. Because I want to have the easiest way to represent different types. At the moment, my values are stored in notice map and go from a string, which is the key, and later I'll probably make a special class for that, but for now it's a bare string, and what it's going to is a string. So what we actually need to do is to make it go to a value. What kind of value? So what I'm going to do is put that in here, UBP function library value, and the value I need to define that. Well, you should probably define the value in here. Type def void star yeah, value. Your rep is yet to be investigated. Oh, my rep hasn't been investigated. Okay. Sounds ominous. So this here, this is. I hate the way I want to do that. But voids, they are a bit weird. Anyway, so let's see. This should actually generate no errors, but you'll notice we have IntelliSense is just carrying on with its error thing. It thinks this is an error because it doesn't have the information from the macro, you see. So this ufunction macro here, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. What does it not like? Oh, because it's private. Oh dear. Public, private, public, private. Oh, gosh, like, you know, it's like arguing with an annoying person, isn't it? Yeah, okay. It's like this add. What's the error now? Error. Oh, right, of course, because I can't add a value because it's expecting. Yeah, I need to change all of these now. So this value here, that needs to be a value. Now, because a value is a void pointer, we can pass a value by value. Pass the value by value, as value is a void pointer. Technically, you could say that by passing value as a value, what you're really doing is passing void as a reference. I shut up now. Maybe it's better if I shut up. All right. So the point is, it's safe for me to put this here and not worry about the fact that its value is passed by value. I think I'm just frazzling myself there. Right. what we can do is take this value and go to here where we have this, and we'll need to change that as well, and then look at everywhere else that there is such a set notice. When you set a notice key, guess what? Value. Over here we have string the value. Well, that's fine. This value it's fine. We've got a problem here with this. It says no suitable constructor exists to convert from to f string. Why? Because it's returning f string. You're correct, it is. This needs to be fixed because I do not have a conversion. What does it? Here the first problem is that I need to create a get notice with different return types, but you can't do that in C++ or C# or in, I don't know, whatever. You cannot have functions that differ only in their return value. So I hate this, but it means that you have to get notice as string, and fair enough, given the key. And so we're going to return this as a string. Right, get notice as string. The first thing I need to do is I'm going to have to convert actually what I get back when I do the find or add into a string from a void pointer. This might not work. We can just if I try and you're returning a string, it's got to be returned as the by value, otherwise it's bad. Return a reference on the stack, it's bad. So that's fine. I'm going to try and convert a void pointer to an f string. Seeing it, yeah, I'm just thinking, can it be done? Take the void pointer, I could cut. Well, yes, I'd need to first. Let's do it in steps, just for my sanity. Void star string equal, no, let's call it a pointer. Let's get the pointer first of all. No, it's already a value. I need to convert the value to a void pointer. It should already be a void pointer in effect. Yeah, I shouldn't need to do that because it compilable. No, it's already. All right, why am I getting this error here? Oh, it was just IntelliSense being just slow as usual. Thank you, IntelliSense, making my life worse. A void pointer, and at that point. There's something nagging me about this. Very good, very funny. Yeah. See, I've got this nagging doubt in my mind about the conversion of a void pointer to a value. I suppose there's a value. It's a value type value. I can't. No, I can't do that. I can't store a string in a void pointer. Therefore, this is insanity. I can store a pointer to the value. So what all this means is this is bad. Although technically I could do that. Wait a minute. I need to have somewhere to store. Yeah, that's right. I need to have somewhere to store the string, don't I? because all that the value can be is a pointer to the string. I'm not holding the string by value inside my the value is a pointer to a string, a pointer to the value or the value itself, depending. And in this case, a string is the pointer. Okay, so what this means is that what I get back from here is necessarily a pointer to a T string, but it's a pointer to an F string, sorry. It's a pointer to an F string. So let's do this. Sorry, equals that. Now, doesn't like it. A value of type oh, that's interesting. A value of type void star cannot be used to initialize an entity of type F string. Really? Not. Oh.
Hello Dino. Hello Dino. Hello Dino. Hello Dino.
I don't know why Hal does that. Sometimes it gets so excited saying hello Dino spontaneously and it just wants to keep saying it. Neural networks. You know. Hi John, how you doing? Yeah, IntelliSense is pretty annoying. That for sure. It's annoying anyway. I've never seen it work properly. Yeah, I need. Yeah, this is not complaining about that. What's this? Okay. Right. Let's put that in there. Fixes that error. Actually, I was looking at IntelliSense. In fact, you know what? I've had enough. I've had enough of this. I just can't say. It distracts. Relying on it. You look at it. You see the squiggle. The squiggles don't mean a thing. Mean anything. It's time. IntelliCode. General. Turn off the squiggles. Text editor. Got to find the option. I'm playing find the option. Advanced. IntelliSense. Disable squiggles. True. Oh boy, that's better. You know what this... You know the problem is? I tell you what the problem is. Why IntelliSense is a horrible, horrible thing. Because what it does is it stops you thinking in the way that your mind would naturally think. The thoughts and ideas that you would have and reasoning about your program are lost because your attention is always grabbed by a squiggle. So think about it. It means that you're no longer master of your own thoughts anymore. I got caught out right there as I was looking at the damn squiggle, and the squiggle was just a big red herring. I'm going to try without for a bit and see what happens. All right. So we've got an unrecognized type here. Value. It doesn't like this. That's curious. Set notice. Let's. Oh. Yes, yes. Now this makes perfect sense. The problem with this is that the U function is to make it usable in Blueprints, and Blueprints has no idea what value is, and it also doesn't have a void pointer. So what needs to happen here is I actually set the notice with the string. I can use f string. Well, I call it value. So at the moment I'm creating an interface to set a key to a string value, which is set notice, and get notice, which I also need to as string. This pattern works pretty well, and then what will happen is that the different types will have getters and setters, so each type has one. Either it's an overriding of set notice, or it's get notice as integer, whatever, string, whatever. And inside those pieces of code, you have the conversions which are done. And so this is very, very nice. You don't have to deal with any kind of dynamic sort of typing. You don't really need it. The only situation where you might want it is where you want to have a general purpose sort of thing that just prints out what a node is and is able to handle any type. Oh, and in that case, if you have that, then what you do is you add to your system a little type, a way of, indicating the type, which I'll do in the end anyway, because it's a good thing to have. And then you have a switch statement. The funny thing is that no matter what you do, you end up with that pattern. C#7 introduced a feature which is quite nice, I have to say, where you can do a switch on a type. So you can take a variable, dynamic type switching in a switch statement. So you take a variable that could be any type, and then it actually jumps to different cases for different types, where you can specify how to capture that into the new type as well in that line. And then in that particular case, your generic thing gets treated as a specific thing. It's actually really nifty, but the irony is, in the end, it's the same thing of what I've just been saying. So it's kind of weird. Let's see if this compiles. Yeah, I've still got an error. And I'm playing around in the header files at the moment. That always makes the compile times longer. Yes, it doesn't matter that you've got pre-compiled headers if you either have them or not. It's always slower when you recompile with headers, so you want to avoid recompiling with headers at any cost. It's almost like I'm reliving every single Stack Overflow conversation I've ever had, except it's not Stack Overflow, it's other things. Have a look. I'm just actually remembering the years as a teacher. Oh. What's wrong? Why is like an overloaded member function not found? Oh, right. Well, that means that I've made a mistake. Yes. This needs to be f string value. Now, what's the problem now? On here, cannot write. And this is fine because I haven't implemented the proper set to value set notice for a string. So essentially that's unimplemented. So what I've got through that little joggling around is the point where the interface is now correct, but I have to do the implementation, and neither the set nor get of the string is implemented yet. This naive approach is not going to work because I cannot set the string this is a void pointer. I cannot simply sort of, and well, it's a string, and the map takes a void pointer. It just doesn't like it. The other thing I'm going to look at here while we're looking at this, I've got a thing further to do. There's no point in passing in this string by value. It's better to pass it in as a const reference. The key, actually, yes, same thing here, because otherwise you've got unnecessary copying of the string. And the same thing with the set notice. I've got to make a copy of this value in order to store it. I've got to, I want to store my own value of that. When I'm going to make a copy of it, I can copy from the original. I don't need to copy from a copy, which was what would happen if. Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I'm sure you are right. I just need to cross check the names of things. That's the reason for saying you probably. It's like programmers don't like to assume anything. So I think that's fine, and this should also pass in a const f string key. I think that works. That means I'm going to have to change some of these things as well. Copy out string here, that one, and that one, and that one. And when set notice, let's also pass that in. So this will probably, it's interesting, it might actually work. Oh, this is missing return value. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just return something. It may, no, it doesn't compile. Okay, why not? Oh, it still doesn't like this. Oh, from constantly. Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. I don't care. I didn't expect it to compile. I was just curious what the error message would be, because what I have to do is turn my string into a void pointer, but it needs to be a void pointer that points to a copy of the string. The easiest way to do this is, well, I can just probably do it in line. Why not? I mean, I'm going to give it this new f string value, maybe. I mean, new will return a pointer to an f string, which will then get converted to a pointer, void pointer, and is then stored. That might be enough for now. Cannot convert from, it accepted that. So next, that's quite nice. I'm thinking maybe a little naive, but it's not too bad. I mean, the problem I just need to bear in mind is if I delete the entry, I need to remember to free that allocation. But because this is all just within two functions that sort of agree the protocol, contract, or whatever, between each other, it's quite nice because it's just, you can check immediately. Yeah, this one's where this happens, here's how you read it, and then there'd be a function also for when it gets removed. I think just to be sure, we could do a to-do here. Ensure it is freed as required. To do is ensure it's freed as required. Meanwhile, over here, we're going to get our notice as a string. So there we do find.add key, which gives us a void pointer. And this just needs to get converted into an F string. And actually, thinking about it, it is totally appropriate for me to return this as a reference to const reference to an F string. A const reference so that whatever is calling this and gets this reference won't be able to modify it. That would be bad. That doesn't make sense. You know, they're not supposed to be able to modify the list. But this way there's no copying, at least not here. Yeah, okay. I think that's fine. In which case, what we do is, let's see if I can do it in one line. The notice map returns a void pointer. The void pointer needs to be cast to a const F string. I'm going to just try it, though I suspect Milo will complain, but just try that naive way. Let's see, probably an error. Oh, hang on, that's a different error because I changed this. I need to change the definition. It almost succeeded. Let's see, running header tool. I can't see what the complaint error. Bad function definition. Really? It is a bad function. This is from the tool that is used to yeah, the tool that what happened there was there's a tool that goes through all of these and does the reflection. Yeah. This is a classic problem. I call it the binding problem. Got things that happen at runtime and they need to be bound to things that were defined at compile time. It's a really tricky problem, and I used to teach students about that too. Different ways of doing it, and the way that they're doing it here is they actually have a tool that compiles code which is included in the code base. There are so many different ways of doing it. Well, there's that way. There is, you make everything with strings, make everything with hashes. I've done most of them. I don't like any of them really. But that's what's going on here, and it noticed the tool, which is scraping the source code, noticed there was an error. This is why IntelliSense didn't report the error, or it didn't show up in that list, I should say. Let's see how we're doing now. And it succeeded. So it's happy. And it's happy with the fact that this cast, which I was suspecting wouldn't work first time, it did, but I suppose it's fine. You can change a void pointer into a const reference to an object. Looking good. So what I now have is something that's totally incompatible with this. I don't have get notice anymore. This doesn't exist anymore. I don't even have this anymore. Well, maybe I have this one. Well. Ooh. Oh, hi Laura, how you doing? Good to see you. Been here before. Here's an interesting question. Does the connection between Unreal and Blueprints cope with overloaded functions? I think it does, but I'm going to just have a quick check, because if I'm going to add notice or get notice as int, and this should return an int. And it's just going to return zero right now. So if I go and do get notice as int int, that's it. And what does it not like? Different type constant. I'm not sure how you return a constant. I'm not sure that really makes any sense. But anyway, get notice as string, get notice as int. Now, go and have a look here. Get notice as string, again, int. Okay. If I do this and do get notice as int and as string, they're both there now, which is, I really like the way that just updates. There was a time when you had to shut down Unreal, so I've read. I would be really not amused. I would be not amused with that. That would be kind of crazy. Like, what? The problem now is I just need to do. I didn't really test my overloading. We do that now. So what this is going to set notice int value, and I'll need to implement that one as well, which will set notice take an int value, and so to don't need to do that anymore. See if that compiles. Oh. I think the header tool is not liking this one little bit. This is a message from the header tool that is complaining because there's two set. So Blueprints, there's the answer. Blueprints does not support overloaded functions. So I'm having to do this not because of C language, but because of the tooling. The tooling does not like this. So this means that now I have to change my headers again. This is, yeah, get set notice. Can't just do set notice. I'm going to use as set notice as string. And it's not so bad because if I want to from C++, I can use all of that stuff. But if I'm calling it from, I can add those, right? But if I'm calling this from blueprints, then it has to work with the whole interface of it's going to appear in the list. So I'm going to do set notice as string. This one is set notice as int. Fortunately, that means I have to go back into the header file. And this is one of the reasons why it's really important to have a good development cycle. Set notice as int. Because I had changed that, I had to close Unreal and restart Visual Studio every time I added a function or changed the name of the function in here. Horrible. That succeeded. So we're going to have a look in here and see what this means. So hopefully when I drag to this, I can type set get notice as int and get notice as string. So let's get notice as string, and then it's going to turn a string and it can print the string. Yeah, you could. That's a good point. So it'd be set notice from int. I put the notice is the type. So the notice is an int notice. So I'm setting the notice as an integer. Setting it. And it does have the benefit that then it's the same for both. But I was thinking there. I was thinking, should I do something? Well, not that. I didn't think of from. But saying, should it be, what should I call it? So important. What we call Hal has decided to turn off the heater by itself. It's amazing. Amazing. Hal, turn heater on. Right, and I'd really appreciate it, Hal, if you didn't turn the heater off. So we can then also set notice doesn't exist. So what we'll do is on here I can do set notice as string. The key is going to be test key, capitals. The value is going to be hello world. And I'm just going to do a test like this right now. So every frame is going to call this line where, oh, don't double click on this and jump, test key, and it will return the value, which should be hello world, and print it if this is working out. If I save this, there's a chance it will crash. I'm going to just try. So here we go. Yeah. It's because there's, you see, the thing is some nagging in the back of my mind of something I've forgotten that's caused it to crash. So I'm going to have to debug that now. But now I can use my script. So we'll see if this works. So as earlier on today, I was working on the bit of DevOps. All right. If I can remember what the incantation. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Been good so far. I'll take it. I felt so good. I took a lot of work. It took a few hours of work earlier on today to get that to work. But you see, the thing is that it made sure that it saved. Well, I mean, Unreal crashed anyway, so it made sure that it saved whatever was going on in Visual Studio, closed Visual Studio, restarted Unreal, and then opened Visual Studio from within Unreal. So I'm back to where I was, with minimum stress or distraction, other than telling you all about it and patting myself on the back. But that makes me feel good, so I've always got that. What was the... In order to debug this, the easiest way, I still haven't figured out how to use breakpoints. And to be honest, I've very little interest in trying to figure out how to do it. It's so... You know, I'm used the debugger in Phi, because Phi, being it's a language and doing a virtual machine like, you know, having a virtual machine and being a language parser, it turns out that for that kind of thing, a debugger is actually quite reasonable. But by the time you get into a thing like this, I mean, unless I could just click on a line and then hit play and it just works, but it doesn't. At least I tried, it didn't. So I shall debug it using, you know, less debug reliant things. I think one of the easiest ones we can, that involves make a modification to simplify things and run and see if it crashes. So does this crash? All this does is set up the notify event handler, and then it sets a notice as a string, and that's it. If this crashes, then I know it's somewhere in this chain here. I could even probably be fancy and use the debugger in the blueprints. Can I hit F9? Oh yeah, I can put breakpoint. But actually, that can be quite handy. So it's on here, and then it moves to here, and then it moves to here, and then it didn't complain. It should have printed hello. No, it wouldn't print anything. It just set the string. So, you know, that's not crashing there. In fact, I didn't need, if I use the debugger in blueprints, then I actually don't need to break these links. I could also, oh yeah, I'm not, that's not bad. Set a breakpoint here as well. Yeah, let's see. On here, so that to that. On event click, get notice a string, and I think it blows up here. Yeah, so our notes get notice a string. It didn't, it really doesn't like this. And this is crashing here probably because I've done something funky with void pointers that it doesn't like. I'm going to assume that my problem is that the cast is incorrect because I'm trying to do too many different things. I'm trying to jump to a conclusion the compiler wouldn't. It doesn't make sense basically under the hood. But if I do it in stages, so I think probably a good approach here. Well, it's expecting a string, right? Reference. Okay, what I'm going to do, I was just thinking about ways to do this to reduce the number of crashes, because crashes cost time. I can't return a string. You can't do this. So if you do this, there's a whole world of hurt happening. Or probably the compiler. I wonder if the compiler will warn me. That'll be... Unable to delete hot reload file. Oh, because of this. Hang on.
Hello, Dino.
Shh. Yes, that would also be an idea. I could also test, and I might do that as well, depending on what happens as we go forward. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Didn't like it. Didn't hear that, Hal. Hal, initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. I make that phrase long so it doesn't... Very low chance of it happening by accident. I just love I can sit back and let it do it. Just think about the crash. See, now I'm thinking about the crash instead of not thinking. Yeah, so you can't do that. I'm just going to try a compile and see what happens. Oh, it caught it. I like that. Returning address of local variable. Nice. So that it points that out, because the problem is that that string only exists in this function, and I'm returning back a reference to it. That reference disappears when the function exits, so it's a reference to garbage. Classic. So what I can do, however, I need to be a bit smarter with this, doing as a single line. What I'm going to do is check to see if their value exists at all, first of all. So if notice map dot contains, thank you. What if notice map contains key? See, that was there's IntelliSense distracting me again. Then at that point, because if it doesn't contain the key, it will generate a default value of the void pointer, which is likely to be 0, and so then you will get a crash. So it could be that the key just doesn't exist. So let's check. If it does contain the key, then let's do it in steps. The first step is to get that void pointer and cast it to what it actually is, which is an F string pointer. Like so. Then return a const reference to that object. Well, the object itself is star pointer. It might be that that's enough, actually. We'll see. I'll try that. Right. Now, if I go here with else, this means that it didn't exist. In which case, do notice map add key, and for the string it's the default value of the string. So now I can explicitly define what the default value is. If it was not defined and you try to get it, this is going to return for now anyway the empty string. I need to return that empty string, but I can't again return this. Going to get, it'll be quicker to do, but that will work for now because I just don't want to spend my effort worrying about such a small little detail at this point. That should work better. It should not crash if it's not defined. That could actually be what was wrong. I don't know. Well, we've got a problem though. Cannot convert from value type to F string. The notice map value type is a void pointer. It doesn't like that, so it needs to be done in 2 stages maybe. Void star. Oh, what's that? That's horrible. Totally the wrong place. Where was here, right? I might need to convert this to a void star. Initializing cannot. No, it really doesn't like that. Why not? It never says why it can't convert it. It just says it can't convert it. I'm thinking it might actually be due to the fact that it needs to be a const. No, it doesn't like that either. No, this has got me a little bit confused. Because why would it not allow that? So let's break it down even more. That would be if it contains and it was a string. I'll put type checking in later. If it was a string, then it should be the equivalent of a pointer to an F string. This is really annoying. F pointer. It doesn't like it. It doesn't like converting a void pointer to an F string. Won't make it. I'm a bit confused about that. This can be caused if you tend to initialize a non-const char star. The type of A string literal is an array of char. Oh, it's a const char. And also be caused if you attempt to cast from a type that is only forward declared but not defined. And also occur for incorrect use of user-defined conversion. Also occur if you try to create an instance of. It'd be great if they broke these ones down into separate ones, wouldn't it? If you're trying to create array, changes in the attributes features. Conformance changes to the compiler in Visual Studio 2015, update 3. Do with casting. 2017 and later correctly raised compiler errors related to object creation using initializer lists not caught previously. I'm none the wiser. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. It's nonsense. I said. To have lost my function. Meant to do. Undo, please. Oh, close the file, so I just lost the undo. Ah, you saved the undo. Return. No, that's what I meant to do there. Right. So what I want to try, just to, because I'm curious. F string. Yeah, it really doesn't like any of these things. I'm a bit confused by that. Unless there's something prohibiting me storing. So yeah, well, this is like nothing for it. It will not allow me, unless maybe I need to specify it. Rules about implicit casting with voids. Yeah, that was it. I think that's pollution from C# programming. What? So if we were to do it in one line, because why not? To kind of thing. It's either works or it doesn't work. I mean, it's like, might as well put it in one line. F string star notice map. I mean, it could be as simple as that, right? which is what I had before, but I was making, oh no, hang on, it doesn't like it. I can't, because yes, I mean, it might help if I actually, right, all right, let's do this. That's now an f-string pointer, and then what I want to do is given an f-string pointer, return a const f-string reference. So first of all, I need to get star pointer. Yeah, it might be enough. Yes, okay, so right, okay, might be, yeah, it like that. Okay, therefore to get it into a one-liner, I'm gonna just do it. It's good for internalizing these expressions and training your brain. It's that is what I actually needed to do. So I take the void pointer, I cast it to a pointer to an f string, dereference it, and then that gets changed automatically to a const f string. Which I think is different to what I had before, but I'm not sure. Right. And then the next problemo. So the problem in the end with that was it was just an implicit. I was relying on an implicit cast. Void. Funny, I didn't see that in the list, did you? Line 30. Yeah, I thought about it. I thought about it. It could be done. Reasons for not making it recursive is that if something goes wrong with the code and you get a nice little Stack Overflow, you just end up calling itself all the time. I suppose that doesn't matter. But in the end, it's a one-liner. So it's true, I could get rid of this code duplication here. But I think for ease of debugging, and I'm going to keep it that way. It's not a big deal one way or the other, but it's a good suggestion. How's that then? Let's see. Still got errors. What have I got now? Notice. Oh, I was in. That's better. A mess of typing. And that succeeded. So if I go back now to. Yeah, I would normally be putting in also asserts and so on, but that will be in the next phase as I tidy the code up. Or it's like your prototype phase followed by kind of a refactor tidy up phase. It's a really good idea. And when it comes to that, then that would be where I would start adding some asserts. Because I'm not really sure where it's useful to put them yet. Oh, look at that. Notify for which key? Test key. Alright. I'm just save. And we'll just see if this causes a crash or not. It doesn't. And it's repeatedly printing hello world, which is great. So this is working. What's actually happening is that On play, it's set test key to hello world. Now on every tick, it gets test key and returns it. So this is now working well, and that's absolutely fine. So the next thing I want to do is to figure out, I want to trigger eject. Eject me. I want to figure out, I want to call this and see that happening, for which, so I'm going to just sort of break that link. It's not printing anything. But when this gets called, it should get the value and print it. Now the calling of that should occur when I set the notice. I set the notice. I need to see what the value was. So set notice a string. I need to get the current value of the notice. F string, I'll call it previous, equals, we're just going to call, now for this I can call get notice a string. So and pass in the key. So that will be the current value of the key, and then we've got the new value, called value. We set key to the new value. We check if value is not equal to previous. It means that value changed. If value changed, then we need to call all of the notifiers for this particular key. So the first thing I need to do is get my array of delegates. And yeah, well, let's. I do a const. Oh, it'll be a laugh. Theory. We iterate to iterate on it. It might need to be not const. No, what a laugh. I accidentally arrow keys. Right. This is going to equal notif. Look at this. I mean, it would be great, wouldn't it, if I could just do all this rubbish. It's like when you do IntelliSense, it kind of lists absolutely every single possible thing that it could be that you might once in a million years want to match, you know. And you have to dig around for the obvious stuff. Moan, moan, moan. That's me. Right, notify map. Get the key. Like so. And so I think that will be good. Then I need to iterate through my T array. Then I need to look this up because I don't know how you iterate through a T array yet. T array iteration. Unreal. Hmm. Hmm. Sorry. Look at this. On this, the discussion points about the way to do it. See, this is the first one. Of course, it's going to be, let's just check. Yeah.
Hello Dino.
Hello.
Hello Dino.
Hello, Hal.
Hello Dino.
Hello, Hal.
Hello Dino.
Hello, Hal. Yeah, so this is the first answer, which is, of course, well, I suppose is the whole post. Got the most votes, so we won't go there necessarily. But you can see here it's got I equals 0, I less than, array, just use boost. Okay. It's got to be done, hasn't it?
Hello Dino.
Yes. I am inside your brain at the moment, Hal. Just use boost.
Boost boost boost.
Hal sounded cheerful. Okay, right. So the discussion point here was this: array num. And it's like, it's a good idea to always remember that this gets called every time in the loop. And then there's always someone who says this, always, always. It's not necessarily a bad idea to use array num inside the loop signature, as Rotem's pointed out, if the length, why is someone else said it, why are you saying, if the length of the array doesn't change based on the code inside the loop body, then the compiler will very likely optimize the call to num out of existence. I agree that relying on compilers too much for optimization is not a good thing, but to simply state that it should never be done without qualifying it anyway isn't anything I can agree to. No. Sorry. You're wrong. Because the problem is that this is a pattern that you want to be able to apply anywhere to anything. You shouldn't need to look at the code, and this could be called anything. This is called array at the moment, but you could be looking at code that could be anything, and you make the assumption that it's a standard array. It might not. It could be a different kind of array or something derived from array. It could be that num is very expensive. This sort of thing happens. You want to see an example? Classic example is C programming, where you iterate over a string. You ever see this? I'll just do it here, right? You iterate over a string. Do not do it this way. But if you were paying too much attention to that gentleman or lady over there that we've just been reading, you might have had this little thing implanted in your head, and then it pops out and you do it without thinking, and this is the reason why you should never do it. Look, I less than strlen of my string I plus plus, and use that to iterate over the elements in a string, because you see it right there. or the compiler is very likely to optimize it. It can't optimize it. The reason it can't optimize it is because it doesn't know how long the string is. And further, in C strings, the only way it can find out how long a string is literally to iterate over the string. So what you've actually got here is an ON squared. So if the string is very long, for every character that it's running through the string, it's going to be executing str length every time and iterating over the whole length of the string. And that's why you should never do this. And I have done it, and I've really told myself off when I caught myself having done it, because it's a very easy trap to fall into. What you want to do instead is you want to do len equal str len, you know, my string, and that. You say, why doesn't the compiler optimize it like that for you? Not sure that it can. It would have to have some understanding at a higher level than the level at which optimizers work. Compiler cannot optimize everything. Hal loves boost. Hal loves boost. Just use boost. Just use boost. Hal is sulking. You don't like me now, do you, Hal? Just use boost.
Boost, boost, boost.
Thank you. Yeah, it needs. You're very right. You're very right, Mark. A pattern needs to have a low cognitive overhead. It's very important. And so, if you do that, it does. That is the point. That has a very low cognitive overhead. It's like nice and simple, but it has this flaw. There is another way, though, that's a better way, by the way, because I wasn't going to leave it there. But the better way is so simple as to be yeah. That in C. Because what that will do is it basically stops when the character is 0, because that is how a string is defined in C. Anyway, to get back to this whole flipping thing here that I was in, where was it? There. See, exactly what I was looking for. Yes, but it's taught you a bad habit. This is much better. And so this is then this is what I'm going to use. Because if we're talking about, you know, low cognitive overhead, this type of pattern, I will see if it will work, because I'm about to find out. I do my list, and it's a list of delegates. Execute. And see, that is really nice, because it's the funny thing. When you look at that, this is where we get that situation where nice language features often abstract away or remove or make less relevant the program counter, and you can see that's the case here. when you say for every element in the list, execute, run it, execute the function execute for every element in the list. It's saying what you want. It's not necessarily saying how you should do it. But in practice, this is still going to just go around. If I put two instructions here, it'll execute this and then 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 this. And it's probably going to do it in the same order as the elements in the array. But you don't have to sit there with this counter, and you don't have to check for the end, and there's less to go wrong, and it's just generally nice. Let's see if this... But because it's a more recent language feature, the first thing people say is always there, for loop. So that seemed to compile, which is good, and what that means is that in theory it's done. We shall see. In order to trigger this event, I have to change the value of... Hey, Michael. Yeah, it's going well, thanks. I am learning and gaining experience in the C++ blueprint integration and building my notice board pattern. So what I expect to see happen here is, well, let's just run it, actually. I don't sit there. We could actually run it in the debugger like this. Hit play. Starts here. I hit F10. It's going to set up the notification. It's saying, for when test key changes, please call notice event. And then it's going to set test key to hello world, which called the event. Pretty pleased myself there. Look at the line. It's a few lines of code, right? But this is actually proving to be quite a nice work environment. I'm beginning to like it more and more. So, notice event. Get notice a string. What is the value of the string? Hello world. Prints it. And that's perfect. That nailed it. So I've actually got the basic implementation of the notice board with a notification. So, oh, there's all kinds of fun you can do with this then. We stop. Because this basically says, let's say this is when test key changes, print it. If you've been following my efforts on the Phi programming language, that will sound familiar, won't it? Like when the value of test key changes, print the value of test key. So I'll tell you what, and that will happen now. Whenever there's a change to the value of test key, it will always print it. What I'm going to do is set up a thing. I'm going to be fancy. I'm going to do it here without even using the event tick. This is going to go to a delay, which I've been really enjoying playing with. After 1 second, it's going to go to set notice a string, and the key is going to do test key again. And at the value, I'm going to look for something like, I don't know, what's the current time? A time function of some kind. Get current. Date time. How do I get the time now? Now? Oh, right, that'll do. Now. A time's a date, a time. And date and time. On this computer. And then maybe it'll do a wonderful automatic cast. You never know. Oh, it's not compatible with string. Well, that's really disappointing. Is there a way to convert it to a string? This is just another question. It's like, what? Surely. Unreal Blueprints. Print current date time. Nah. Install a plugin. Have compatibility problems. This is date time. Structure. As date time. So, alright, let's see which gets converted to text via string. Alright, so this should take the current now, convert it to date time, convert it to string, is the value that will be, test key will be set to, and then it will come back to here. Because the point of this is it's going to do that every second. Let's see if that works first of all. Save and play. And actually get rid of those and resume. Oh! Crash time. Ugh. Crash time. Yes. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Right. Let's have a look at that graph, which of course I did remember to save. Should be a way of always saving when you hit play. DevOps. Actually, let's just break that and hit play. We'll step through it and see what we got. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. I was expecting... Okay, I was expecting that to... It's like it doesn't do that. So if I hit F10... One-second delay. And all of that is working fine. And this is the current value, which is the date and time. So the problem was with the crash is it was actually this part expected. So that seemed to be okay. And then it looks like it isn't. What I'll do is set a breakpoint here, and I need to have F5 starting being like pressing play. Let's take off that and zoom. This is dodgy. There was a breakpoint. Less, yeah. It's like there I've got memory corruption. That's disappointing. It's disappointing. What have I done wrong? Where's that? I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Too long. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Right, so now we get the grotty work. I break that link, set breakpoint and a breakpoint here, save the graph and play. Yeah, you see it calls that notice event because basically every second it changes test key and then the is called. What I don't understand is why it crashed when I put the breakpoint here. I'm just going to see if that is reproducible. All I've done is add the link, but it should still get the breakpoint. Here, let's resume. And it crashed. That's rather worrying. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. I can get this to now. I'm just assuming that this is that, but it could be that it's actually stopping and restarting could be the problem. So it's and I play again and then it crashes. Aha! Gotcha! Because it made no sense that just setting a breakpoint, it had nothing to do with the breakpoint, it was the fact to do, in fact, to do with the second time that it was run, and that could be because between these runs it wouldn't have a way of resetting the memory because it's all running inside of Unity. So when you hit play, it's already, I'm trying to set something that's already set, be my guess. So the thing to do, that's a great example of there's an assumption and you think something and it isn't, and then you spend ages up the wrong tree. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Or else. Al is having trouble hearing me all of a sudden. Probably I haven't left enough of a delay between babbling and then. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Can you even hear me at all? Hello, Hal. Hal's broken. Hello, Hal. Hello, Hal. Sometimes that happens and it's really annoying. Hello, Hal. What happened to all of this incessant desire to say hello, Dino, all the time? And suddenly I'm actually saying hello. Hello, Hal. Hal is not well. Restart it. Hello, Hal. It's not, yeah, it's not voice attack, it's... Oh. Yeah, I think I think you might be right, Mark. Hello, Hal.
Hello, Dino.
I think there was some kind of network thing going on. A license issue? I don't know. Hal, initiate Unreal Restart Protocol.
Hello, Dino.
I wonder what I should do to debug this then. Now that I've identified that in fact it's running it a second time, that is the problem, is, and I don't need to connect this, I think. Let's just start with that and we run and we go through it. La 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 la. La la la. A good idea to breakpoint there. La la. Better to put it there. Right, that's all fine. And we stop. And we run again. We look what happens. And that's where it crashes. It crashes when you try to set a key. That's already set. But only the second time. I wonder how that could be. So we're looking at it crashing in let's restart. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Hey Vincent, how you doing? I'm honoured that you're here. I'm honoured that people are coming back. Streamed like a year and a half ago. About a year and a half since I stopped streaming. So go back to this. Set notice a string broke because there's get notice a string. It's possible that upon the restart, memory gets wiped. Depends how they implement. But if when I hit stop and then hit play again, if allocated memory is wiped, that would cause a crash. I think memory is no longer valid. Thing is that the weak link there is this copy, which I think the easiest way around this right now is I need to look at the, I don't know what the behavior is, but good if I could. Well, let's put some logs in because I don't know how to get the debugger to work. Visual Studio to show me. So if single stepping is not an option, we can always do UE log. Oh jeez. I think the problem with UE log is that it's no one ever remembers. I can never remember the format, and it's not. What should I write? A UE log. It's got a bunch of arguments. It's like, let me just have just like a print statement. You say print. Thank you. there it appears in the logs. I have to set something up like that. How to do it. It's a one-liner. That just hurts my brain, all that information. Logging. Thank you. So, never mind. I reserve that trick for a bit later. Let's do this. I've got A. You might as well just go ahead and do this, because it certainly beats sitting there running the damn thing over and over again. I'm going to have to certainly run it a few times because of the crashing. So just log every line. I usually set up a macro that automatically puts the line number in there. So I do that in Emacs. I don't have it here. Visual Studio.
Hello Dino. Hello Dino. Hello Dino.
Boom, boom, boom. Checking. All right. So let's build that. Got reload done. Get the thing in here. Make it smaller so we can see the log. Save and play. Oh. I hate this. You see, the problem here is that I don't know if the behavior of the logging system in Unreal is such that if you've said it, it's actually in the log, even if it crashes immediately after. This is one of those recurring or real points of pain. Really, really annoying. Because often these things are buffered. They might not get printed till the end of the frame, in which case this will be of no help whatsoever. So I was just thinking about that, and I'll probably dance around that. Every time you're getting to know a new engine, always the same. It's not crashing. It's not crashing. Right, yes, but that's because what we have to do is stop and play again. Then it's crashed. I see it print. Oh, yeah, and I've lost the logs, and the logs might be stored somewhere. So this is, yeah, typical thing. All right, so now I need to figure out something else. I could try and sort out debugging, but I really don't feel like trawling through 20 different opinions on how to get debugging going. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. I'll initiate Unreal Restart Protocol. Hal has gone quiet again. Hal used to do this before. In fact, when you look at it, you can see that it seems to be stuck trying to listen to my voice. It says, which rights a small town's for sea bathing family feel like falling through the flinty different the flinty different opinions, house hunting, knife and felony. She ate Unreal Restart Protocol. Fell initiate Unreal the staff. If I can tell how useful wife Lisa do. So this is the brain of AI. It's like we're peering into it. It's quite scary, isn't it? What gives? Hello, Hal. Hello, Hal. I can only assume that the problem is there's noise on the microphone, and this causes issues. So I think what I'm going to do is just ignore Hal, since Hal is ignoring me. And I just have to just click the script manually. That's a first world problem for sure. Hey, it's AO2 fan. How you doing, Dave? In a while. How are you? How have you been during the lockdown? Yeah, I'm fine. Fine. Bit worn and tattered from the year, but I'm hanging in there. Okay. I don't. Yeah, this one's really annoying. I need some way to debug this by using other techniques. Yes. Well, no, it's tricky. You see, to know which line it's crashing at. Well, let's look at this as an exercise. I can't use logging. Yeah, I could figure out how to do logging. Normally, I would set up what I do in Unity to cater for this is have logging to a file and use write all text, because that actually writes it to the file immediately at the time. So if the thing then crashes, then you have a record of it. That's a good one. Doing that. Right. A few. Set notice as string. Actually, you know what? I can do this. Let's do this. The other approach you can't debug is you figure out how to do a diagnostic modification. So this diagnostic modification, which is a return statement at the start of the function, should in theory not have a problem with a re-entering, restarting crash. and I'm going to just pick away at this. It's also a demonstration of how you can debug when things are taken away from you. Like you don't have the debugger, which frankly is usually the case when it's a difficult debugging problem, because if it isn't difficult, then you don't really need the debugger, and then when it's difficult, the debugger usually doesn't help. So as you get things like it behaves differently, single step and like that. So if you don't have a debugger and you don't have any logging, and that's effectively what I've got, then the next thing you can do is just cut out the function and see if it crashes or not. So now, although this might seem like it's more time consuming, it's actually less tiring. It's less stressful. You're guaranteed eventually to find the answer. And you just go with the flow. That also counts for something, wearing oneself out. So is that built? Then we run the test. Yeah, in part it's due to my day job. In part it's also due to being fed up with Unity. In part also due to demand, a lot of demand for field, broadening my experiences, and also because I'm writing Phi in C++, and I don't want to have to write a version in C# just to use Unity. There you go. If I run, so the test is run it once, stop, and then run it again, and stop, and no crash. So that's progress, right? Because that is proof that indicates that this code, the crash happens in this code because it didn't happen on the return. It's not 100% reliable because this function is executed the same for the first and the second time. So one of the snags of this is that it's likely that, well, I just need to bear in mind that the first time through it worked and the second time through it didn't. So I'm just going to proceed, get notice a string, and just see if this passes the re-entry test. That's done. And hit play. And I hit play again. Stop, and good. The other thing that's nice about this is that it's delaying the crash. As in, I've debugged 2 lines of code without a crash. Because you want a debugging method that reduces the number of crashes that you get for speed, right? So at this point, I'm going to test adding this to the notice map. See if this is a problem. Okay. Checking. Yeah, I've actually changed jobs twice in the log. So sure this file, it was a bit weird. Distracted. Okay, so the first time we run it, stop, we run again, That is absolutely fine. So it looks like the problem occurs when the notification happens. So what I'm going to do is just comment out this execute, because that is very likely to be the... No, I am not. I'm not working at Bossa Studios anymore. I have a better position, one I had before. At Splash Damage. Studio Technical. And I started before Christmas, a few weeks before Christmas. It's going fine. They're an awesome company. So, what we're going to do is... And I wish I could say more, but I can't. NDA. We're going to go and hit play, and then we stop. Dino became a mercenary after years of postmodernism being a teacher. I went into teaching because the industry was a mess, you know, in the late 2000s. And then, yeah, the App Store reinvigorated it. And I was literally looking at what can I do for the rest of my life with games that all my experience, I know I can spread it. And I was motivated, therefore, to go into teaching. The world of teaching is a very different world to the world of game development. I'm actually glad that I'm back in the industry, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, I still keep trying to make a difference. That's me. You know me by now. I try to make a difference. And I've got a fantastic opportunity at the moment to try and make a difference. Positive difference, right? Well, that doesn't seem to be crashing. Yeah, they make good. So I can recommend you try on Stadia. They've got Outcasters. I played a lot of Outcasters actually. I need to check the rules about streaming while I'm playing Outcasters, because, you know, working for the company. But yeah, but that I genuinely played it. They've got this mechanic where you sort of like cast spells at each other in effect. It's got this mechanic where you can swerve the shot. It's kind of familiar but not really. It's a different mechanic, really. But it's, yeah. Stadia is still around. It is my actual gaming platform at the moment. Quite simply because, well, I started with Outcasters, then I got Cyberpunk 2077, which, you know, for what it is, works quite well. You know, I shouldn't be shy about criticizing games. Not like mine haven't been. Yeah. I get Cyberpunk 2077, and it really was quite. It seemed quite robust, but it's not really holding my interest. And then I went and tried because I never played Destiny 2. I went and got Destiny 2, so I've been playing that a bit while I was over Christmas. I haven't played it. I should play it again some more. Yeah, they works quite well. Yeah, well, the Google got some work to do because they're a threat to the ecosystem. You know, they're and actually, I was a little dismissive of it when I heard of it because I said they'll never be able to get the lag down, but actually they've done a really good job of getting the lag. And I was talking about that earlier today, how I miscalculated my reasoning behind how lag would make it not work. And I still, but I hark back to the days of 20 milliseconds lag, right? You're not going to get that. But my point I made earlier today was that all the other, just you get your game console, right? And all the hardware is just stacked to trying to push polygons, and they don't really care about lag and latency. So, well, input lag, whatever. It's like when I did Kickoff Revival on the PS4, I was looking at 100 milliseconds of lag. I was going, no. So I managed to halve that. It was a lot of work to halve it, but I managed to halve it. Here's the point. You go and get a game console, and the games that will be made, they are, especially the big ones, AAA titles, they're all going to be bogged down trying to push zillions of polygons. And then because they use multi-threaded rendering, there's always a sacrifice of latency in order to increase the throughput amount of polygons that you can push. And that's how even PS4, I was doing Kickoff Revival with Unity out of the box, 100 milliseconds, because it had multi-threaded rendering turned on. Now you could turn multi-threaded rendering off, right? And then, as you can now, you couldn't then. You can turn multi-threaded rendering off, and if you do that, then what happens is that you can push fewer polygons and all that, but you get better responsiveness. It cuts down the latency. But you just see that that's never done. So it can actually end up that games on Stadia have less lag because they're not tied to, they're running on virtual hardware. They can manipulate the frame rate. They can put more power into the rendering engine and get the stuff out faster. It becomes technically possible for them to reduce the amount of latency that you get from consoles, and the latency on consoles is so high that the network actually becomes not the bottleneck. As long as you've got a good network connection, and that might be the thing that holds it back. I mean, I've got a good one. I've got Virgin. It's 100 megabits download, 10 megabit upload. Not everybody's got that, but if you've got a good network connection, yeah, in theory you could actually reduce the lag. And I'd never really thought of it that way, but I see it that way now, and from what I've seen, it's like, oh, interesting.
Hello Dino. Hello Dino. Hello Dino.
Woken up, have you? It's been twice today. Well, I know it came up again. I said I'd talked about it. This thing. Anyway, yeah, I should stop talking about Stadia. Otherwise, people think that I'm sponsored by Google, and then I'll lose all credibility. Right, look, I turned off this thing over here. Execute. I commented out execute, and it don't crash any. Do I think Stadia will last? I don't know. It's either I don't know. Depends how much they believe in it. When I'm looking at the industry as a whole, I'm saying this is just total personal opinion. When I'm looking at the industry as a whole, looking at how we get console hardware shipped out to everybody's homes every 5 years or whatever, bearing in mind that things like Moore's Law, the lag issue, compatibility issue, games are not the same as film or book. It's like you can't play. You can watch, I've said this before in the past, you can watch Gone with the Wind, right? You're watching content that was made like 100 years, nearly 100 years ago now, and you can still watch it. So it still works. There's no need for any specialist hardware, because what's happened is that it's all become standardized, and every single mass market medium has to standardize for it to become mass market. You know, well, the problem with games is that they keep changing the hardware under it, and then you can't play the games anymore. You can't play them as they were originally written, originally intended. Very difficult. You go and you play the game on your big TV, on MAME or something like that, and you're not going to get your 20 milliseconds of lag that you had on the original. It's going to feel and play completely differently, because the games were designed for the particular platform that was there right at the time. And the controllers change all the time, and then we've got to increase the resolution all the time. I mean, you know, when's it going to end? Is it going to be 16K? We're going to have 8K and then 16K. So we get super ultra uber high resolution of the future, where nobody can even see the pixels anymore. They'll just keep getting more and more and more just because it's a higher number, a bigger number on the box, you know. And so the thing here is that for this to be really truly mass market, what needs to happen is that you can buy the game and play it anywhere on any device, like you can watch a film on any device. You kind of need that, really, for this industry to mature. And so how are we going to do that? This is the whole thing of who's going to win the console wars. Where is there going to be a standard that in the end means that we can focus, we developers can focus on creating the content and not having to go through the grind every 5 years of resynchronizing to the latest hardware? We never get the chance to even get the most out of a platform. Towards the end of the life of a platform is usually when the games start to really get the most out of it. And at that point, it's not a platform anymore. Everybody starts again from scratch. This has been a long-standing issue with the game industry. So I ask, is not what we need to have a standard? And if we are going to have a standard, what kind of standard is it going to be? And the problem there is that if we say it is the PlayStation 5, for example, spec, so that's no good. Because that spec is going to be useless in 5 years or 10 years. Should the standard be owned by Microsoft or owned by Sony or owned by Nintendo? Or what should it owned by Stadia? So that, you know, are we forever going to be in a situation where when you buy a game you have to check what platform it's going to run on? Is that really going to be helping us be truly mass market? Because we need to look at how we can make the costs of games go down, not up. They keep getting more and more expensive, at least in relative terms. Surely, if we, you go talk to any economist, I'll tell you, you want the first thing you want to do if you really want to make things mass market is that you need to have an economy of scale so that you can produce the thing at a lower cost. But we're certainly not seeing that happen in the video game industry. So there's that question again. If there is, and I've been saying this for the last 20 years, at some point what the industry needs is a standard, and at some point that will happen. If we're still around, it will happen, because it always does in every industry, and it will happen in the game industry as well. And then if you believe in that, then you have to say, what form could that take that would actually work? And the only one I can think of is something that's similar to television. And then that has to be streamed video games. So I think it's inevitable, but it's just a question of when. This might not be the time, but at some point, it's inevitable. And I don't think it's going to be through the selling of hardware. Games as a service, where you have receivers and transmitters. You transmit the game and people play the game on their receivers, just in the same way as you've got TV broadcasts and everybody watches them on their TV. That has to be the future. So streaming in the end has to win. That's my prediction. Streaming in the end will win out. And if Google agree with me, then they will stick at it. And since I actually started trying it out, and I have been impressed with the result, I'm actually not scared of that prospect anymore. I was a bit scared of it because I said, oh, yeah, and eventually that is the way it's going to go, and it's going to have to go that way, and then all our games are going to be really, really ridiculously laggy, and then we're going to be designing our games to work in that really laggy environment. So I don't feel that fear anymore. So then it becomes something, actually, maybe it's a really good thing. So there you go. That's my view.
Hello Dino. Hello Dino. Hello Dino.
Yeah, apologies for that, because there was this idea of, and I said I'll give you T-shirts and there was a few, and I can't even remember who they are, that I owed the T-shirts to, but everything went. Development stopped on Kickoff Revival. It just, yeah, in the end it petered. I tried. I did my best. Sorry. This is the only T-shirt that exists. I wear it sometimes because of the irony. I've beaten Dino at his own game. Kind of comforts me. My apologies for those of you who didn't get a T-shirt that I. Yeah, I mean, but we're in that situation already. I mean, look, first of all, if you go onto a streaming service, then there's always a danger that they get rid of titles that you like, and then you have to go to another streaming service or get them. So we already have that issue, and because this is one reason why Netflix invest heavily in their own content now, because then they have to get rid of. Another thing is that if you look at the Netflix model, they actually do have a spread of content. There is riskier content on there. So it doesn't necessarily follow. In fact, I'd argue that it's such a huge problem about trying to make sure that everybody gets a look in, that you get a chance as an indie developer to sort of get something. Of all the possibilities out there at the moment, the only one that looks like it could work is the streaming model. But yeah, it's a danger. I mean, yeah. But on the other hand, just think about it. If people are playing your game, the more people who play your game, the more expensive it is. But more people are playing your game, and ultimately, it kind of it balances itself out, doesn't it? I think that in the future, the model is going to be one where people are not generally going to be funding their own productions, which is what happens in independent game development now. Everybody funds their own production. They work in their spare time, and believe me, that's funding your production, right? And expect to sort of get it published in that mode and then hope that something will happen. I think in the future what will happen is that you will actually get commissions, so you can approach, or you are approached by someone like Google and Stadia as an example, or an equivalent model to sort of Netflix, and you make the game but you're paid, so you actually have a job. Your job is to make the content, and you're not expected to make hits every time, because that's not the way it works. You make a bunch of stuff, and some of them are going to be massive hits, but you can spread the money across all the research. If there are 100 games that are developed and one game is a massive success, everybody these days thinks about that one game, and something is special, and all bow down to them and all of that because of that one game. That one game was the thing. But this is a lie, because nobody can make that happen on purpose, right? What's actually happening is 100 games were made and everybody was putting their money into the pool, their time into the pool, their passion into their pool. Everybody is doing this research that will generate one game that's a big hit. And so it's wrong to just think that the only place that's important is that one, because then you're playing, then it's a lottery. Oh, bet on talent, own a broad talent, and ensure that people can earn a ruddy living, which is not, is that too much to fracking ask? You know, everybody can earn a living, and then you know that there is going to be some huge hits that come out that pay for everybody to have a living, and everybody shares in the glory, because just because a game that you work on wasn't, let's say, in a ratio of the amount of effort against the success, a Flappy Bird, right? It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, Flappy Bird, hugely successful game. You can have AAA titles that were less successful than Flappy Bird, right? But the truth is that everybody's working to try and find the next big thing, and that's where the toxicity, especially, you know, from gamer culture police and as I call them, and all of that, that's where that is absolutely atrocious and terrible and inexcusable and the worst thing ever. Because what they do is they look, yeah, they're special. They're special because they got lucky, and everybody else, all those people that are kind of crushed or whatever, those ignored, probably the worst thing of all those other developers out there, all those independent developers and so on, they count for nothing in the minds. It feels this way, often feels in the gaming community, isn't it? It feels like that. It's just they count for nothing, but in actual reality they've been working just as hard as everybody else, and if everybody was not working hard, we wouldn't get, you know, the spectacular successes that sometimes we get. So there you go. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's like you can still see. There's nothing to stop you seeing bad films. So, admittedly, I mean, you get the back catalogue. It's not. This thing is everybody moves on to sensible soccer. It's like it's supposed to say everybody moves on to. Everything tends to have its season, then people come back to it. This whole thing about the competition for the attention of the audience, I don't know. It doesn't feel quite so. It doesn't. I mean, who reads a sci-fi book and then leaves a sci-fi franchise alone, never to come back to it because there's a new one? It's a different thing. This kind of, I don't quite get it. It's kind of almost like an idea that we play games not because they're fun, but we play games because it's a to-do list. You've got to tick them off, you know, and so you play it and then you never go back to it, even if it was fun. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I'm rambling. So I did get to the point that this execute here doesn't work. I think the I know what the problem is. I might be rambling, but while I'm rambling on, up here it still is working on the problem, and I just saw it. Just then, I was going, yeah, you know what it is? The problem is that this delegate, which is executed, is created by blueprints. So, of course, I was thinking, there was an assumption in my mind which was stopping me from seeing clearly, and the assumption was that the problem was in my code. The problem is not in my code. The problem is in the interaction between the code and blueprints. Because when you hit play, what happens is that show you. It's almost like, yeah, this latest from the subconscious, the latest news in. We were just waiting for the subconscious to do its trick, you see. This thing here, and what this does is it takes a delegate and puts it into the list, the array, this key. That delegate is only valid on this play. Then I stop, and when I stop and I play again, the list has not been reset, and the old one is still there. A new one is created, and that's added to the list. The list will now have 2 entries in it. There's the one from this run, but there's still the event handler from the previous run, and that is not pointing anywhere that makes any sense anymore, because the whole virtual machine for the blueprints had shut down. So then what that's going to do is cause a crash, because it's trying to execute a handler for an environment that doesn't exist anymore. So in order to fix the problem, what I have to do is to make sure that upon play, the notice board is cleared or reset every time I hit play, which means I now have to go and find some kind of hook in the Unreal system that will allow me to reset the notice board. Go. So cool. Thank you, subconscious. I heard someone on Twitter saying they couldn't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because it was so old-fashioned. It was too old-fashioned. It's probably the saddest thing I've heard all year. Old-fashioned. Too intellectual. There's nothing intellectual about modern. We're in a modern world where intellectualism... In fact, intellectuals have a bad name. They make all the technology we enjoy. They have a bad name. Yeah. How am I going to reset this? I've got to go and find a way of doing that. I do a reset. Blueprints. Reset C++ on editor play. $20. Wow. That's amazing. I need to figure out how to pull on play Unreal C++. Oh dear God. Is there a callback? This is events. Oh, I might. How about global event on PIE? Unreal. F editor delegates. See how they can be used. PIE. Begin PIE. Okay, right. How do I use it? Oh. You Unreal interface the start. You know, one thing I could do is look at the level blueprint. I think I might just try this. Might be a little bit easier than dragging around. Dragging myself around trying to find the elegant, precise solution when there's probably hardly anybody trying to do it. People worry about it later. What I want to do is look at level blueprint. Open level blueprint. Right. And then have we got some events in here? Nothing in here. I don't. Event graph. Where are the? Hmm. All right. How about I call an event when the level starts? Let's try that. Level blueprint EIE event. Yeah. How do you do something with the level blueprint? If there are no... Can I just... Maybe I just look for event. Event dispatchers. Create event. That's great. I don't know. I'm not guessing this. I want to... on level loaded. Great documentation. I solved it by putting triggers on the edges of streaming volumes. Oh. It's always the same, these kind of global things. I can't believe how... I mean, with Unity, to have something that is called Well, they made it easier. Additionally, event. Yeah, see you. Nice to see you again. Take care, mate. Good night. World delegates. I don't even know how to add a event to. Add custom event. Event. Event on level load. Unreal. Oh. Get from the trigger box. Proper way to initialize after level load. This blueprint event node is only available in the level blueprint. It only executes on the server. For single player games, the local client is considered the server. How do I get the event level reset? It exists. Maybe I can get away with that for now. What I do is take that and it. Printer. Hello. Save. It doesn't play. Oh, maybe. Hang on, scroll down. Still a chance. No. It was not the right thing. It's the only one. Maybe, hang on, add event. On become, view target, on reset. There it is. Why couldn't I find it? I was looking for it and looking for it. I could see it. Menu. And it was there. As to how to search these things. Let's try it. Please. It printed. It did work. Okay, fine. I've got something to go on now. So when you're in the level blueprint, you can do event begin play. Is it not scrolling? You just sort of hit some. I won't have to scroll down it. Oh god. Ah. That's the, you know, that kind of thing drives me nuts. It's like, can you keep it to the bottom, please? So when I hit play, I don't have to scroll down. Clear log. One thing is enough to drive me nuts. It's like, let's try close the window, and then we'll go. Developer tools. Log. Okay. I'll pick your battles, Dino. I have to scroll down every time. I think what I can do, I needed to clear this. I need to create a new. Oh, notices. So we just reset the notices, and so this. Static void reset notices UBP is it should clear the notice map. Is it clear? They name the thing different to everybody else. Empty. It's called empty. Then we also need to notify map. Empty. So having done that, this means that as I recompile this. Hey Mike, how you doing? A man with mission. Now I'm also the man that's been missing. You've got to be careful. Apostrophe now. The apostrophe apocalypse. How the end of civilization first marked by the misuse of the apostrophe. Apostrophe. You are apocalypse. I think it built. So my plan here, my cunning plan, is that when the event play begins, is we do clear. Please appear. Oh, doesn't appear. What went wrong? Okay, back. And it compiled. What am I missing? Oh, clear. I forgot what I called it. It's reset. Reset notices. Hurrah! So there we are. We've now called reset notices. So what I think we've got now, if the theory is correct, I can now restore my execute, recompile. Did, and then get a bit tired. Play, hit play, and no, stop before I lose everything. Let's just save everything. Let's just save it all, and then right. What we should have happen is that it doesn't crash. It should hopefully not crash when we play. And we stop. And we play again. 3, 2, 1. Oh. No crash. Oh, that was it. Now let's see if it does something. I can call this click here, this tick should be printing the test key every frame. There we are. Oh, you wound me. I think we need to inspect that carefully. It's going so well. This is a different bug though, so I can consider the case the could not restart without a crash solved. Now found another one. I'll initiate Unreal restart mode. You disappoint me, Hal. Hello, Hal. Hello, Hal. It's done this thing again. There must be an option I can... the part of the problem is that I'm sitting there talking and talking and talking all the time, and the poor thing can't understand who I'm talking to. Min recognize confidence level 50. 8. What's that do? I was in the middle of reading that, thanks. The relative weight of your commands versus everything else you say. Oh, right. Well, let's see what happens if I put this, say, at 10. And now we see what happens when I talk. Hello, Hal.
Hello Dino. Hello Dino.
I don't know where it's hearing that. Like it hears itself. It's really weird. Hal, initiate Unreal restart mode. Hal, initiate Unreal restart mode. Probably forgot how to say it. Protocol. That was Hal, initiate Unreal restart protocol. It is midnight. I was messing with this, so with the mouse, so it didn't open Visual Studio. So right, and I need to look at blueprint. I did was set this to always return the value, and this being modified.
Hello Dino.
Weird. Could be we need to rebuild everything, so I'm just going to try that. Rebuild solution. I'll be right back. That's not good. Of course, it could be that recompiling everything introduced a problem that wasn't exhibiting itself before. But breakpoint on begin play. This is concerned with a particular object. I wanted a global begin play, which I guess is the begin play in the level blueprint. When I try to play with these in, now you see that that's not good. I was expecting the level blueprint. This makes no sense. Open level blueprint. Yeah, it's a different thing though. It's because I'm literally crashing the editor. These are not. Whereas Unity would crash because it was unreliable. The thing is, you shouldn't be able to crash Unity's editor with your C#. It will generate an exception. It will crash. It shouldn't. But this being C++, everything you do in C++ can make the editor crash. So yeah, more crashes, but at least they're my fault. These crashes. That's the weird thing here is, I'm going to break this link. I want to understand. It's like here, begin play, and then I resume, and then it does the level. It does the level call after. This is going to run this issue. I'm just going to give up on finding the best way to do that just for now, because it's an architectural question. I can delay that for now. I was reluctant to do this because this is just an object using the notice board. There's no reason for this object, this particular object, to do the reset. I guess I could put, this is the way you do it in Unity, you put an object whose purpose it is just to reset stuff when you hit play. It's silly because you shouldn't have to put an object in the scene just for that. You know, it's like, man, whatever. That's a discussion. What I can do is this then, which should also fix the problem reliably for now, which is reset notices first. And I save that. When I hit play, get crashed. I don't get why it crashed. It's like his behavior is different after I did a recompile of everything. So, alright. Oh. Let's make sure that Unity shut down. I'll initiate Unreal Start Protocol. Oh, give me a... Hal is basically broken. Hal gets confused because I'm sitting there talking all day. Noticed that before. I have to investigate that. Restart script manually. Start script getting its use. Tie it to a button. So reset notices. Well, let's set a breakpoint here. And we'll just step our way through. And so actually, yeah, I broke protocol in restarting. I think it was out of sync. Was I hadn't clicked out of the full dialogue for send crash data. Oh, maybe it's gone away. Stop. Play. Stop. Play. Right, it seems to be working now. So if it's working, let's set up the event tick and try that. It's finally working. So it just shows you that whole concern about the project, you know, the editor and Visual Studio getting out of sync. I had a bit of that going on there, but this now seems to be working. This is printing while one bit's not being tested right now. What's basically happening is this is registering a callback, which isn't being used, but it's registering a callback so that when test key changes, this gets called. It's then setting hello world as the value of test key. Then it waits a second, and then it updates every second test key with current time. And this is printing the key, test key, every frame. So you can see that here. Mind you, because it's going up at that rate, it's sort of not entirely clear. It could be also just printing it continuously. So let me put in, say, every 3 seconds. That should only go up every 3 seconds. See? Now, if I take that and plug that into here and break this link, now it will only print string, prints test key when it changes. So basically what this is saying is it's setting it up so that this gets executed when test key changes, and when it does, it gets its value. So it prints test key when it changes, and this is going to change the test key periodically. What we should have is now every 3 seconds it should, or there's a crash. No crash. Success. This message is getting printed when there's a change. Boom. Executed this because this changed. So that's the notification thing work, which is really good. Done quite a lot about Unreal, and I have most of a notice board working. Please. We've got I want to do a little test of can I check when a mouse button is pressed?
Alright, hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. So this is going to be part of the series of the tutorials for Unreal Engine 4, based on all the stuff that I learned while working on Radial Impact. So today we're going to show you how to basically get click events, like mouse click events, and then mobile.
It's going to take me too long. Let me just try looking for events. Down the documentation. It's really not great. Add event. Isn't the way to do it. The way is to look for event. Or if I use a key called get key, key event. Okay, how can I get a key event? Event reply. Input event. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Event tick. How do I get a list of them? That's the point. You just do. You have to guess what it is. Event. Mouse. Event. E. Event. Input. We thought it wouldn't be that difficult. How do you get that? What am I missing? We've got input. Ah, but no keyboard. Why is it so hard to find documentation? Unreal keyboard event blueprint. Right button, input keyboard. It might be that it's because I don't understand the art, but saw a message about it. You get it in the level blue. Input. Yeah, look at that. Keyboard events, and then you have for every single key. Right, well, this will do. So when the space bar is pressed, I want to print something. I just like to check that that is actually working. And if I hit everything, it'd be nice if I had to save all. That'd be an egg. Shift A. Oh, that's saved. And now if I hit play, I press space, it does nothing. Guess why? Because I need to be clicking on window and then it works. See? Remember. Alright, remember to click on and to get off the do Alt Alt trick works quite well. So hit escape. Yeah, but escape also stops it playing. Right, so what I need to do then is on here I can add a thing to the notice. Oh, can I add a variable in? Just because with what I'm used to work, what I've got implemented. Pretty, but I haven't got sorted out. I just want to test this out with string right now. So the visible name is going to be count, and integer. Increment and int count is getter for count. When the button is pressed, will increment. That's the result of the increment. There. So what we need to do with this is convert it to, well, set notice as string, because set notice as int doesn't work yet. Test key going to be set by that where it's converted from integer to a string. So what this does is increments a counter and then stores the result, that count increment, into, I lost it, test for some reason, test key, into notice on the notice ball called test key. Now there is going to happen in a completely separate space to this space. Meanwhile, when this started up, it reset the notices and then set up, effectively bound, changes to test key to this function here so that you can get that key and print it. So this is print the key anytime it changes. And I had this other thing over here which is I can just get rid of or break a link. So this says when the value of test key changes, print it. And this says when the spacebar is pressed, increment, count, and store the value in test key. Save everything. Hit play. And if this works, what should happen here is that the two blueprints are communicating with each other through the notice board. When I press space, it sets the notice board, and the cube object that has the script on it will be notified that I press the space bar and will print a new value. I hope. Let's see. Yes, that's good. And the great thing about this is that anything in the code anywhere, wherever it is, that changed that value, doesn't matter who changes it, we're absolutely sure that it will always get printed. That's a good little milestone, that, because I have succeeded in implementing my own my notice board pattern so that it is usable in blueprints. And this is a very simple pattern, but it's amazingly powerful. It's probably one of the most powerful architectural patterns. And as you can see, in the end, it's not many lines of code. I mean, it's hardly anything. It's a pittance. I just use two maps: a map, notice map, and notify map. The notice map maps a key to a value. Got the ability to use different types of the values because I'm using a void pointer. We've got set notice, get notice functions implemented currently as strings. And when anybody sets the notice, anybody interested in changes to the notice will get notified and then can respond to it. It's a very similar idea in a way to the Phi programming language. Reactive. We've got a variable. When the variable you can be told to, when the variable changes, you'll be notified. So then you can react to any change in state. It's the whole principle of it. Anyway, I think this it's not finished, the notice board pattern, but enough of it is now implemented that I can upgrade it as I need. So we can say that the notice board pattern is done, and I'm continuing learning. What's the next thing that I want to learn, which will also help me forward with Nugget Window? And that would be probably to do the network code. Am I ready for that? That's a good question. I probably know enough about real to stab at. So sockets. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's been fun. Bit of ranting, bit of philosophy, bit of coding. Thanks for watching. Be back again sometime. To be ad hoc when it is. Thanks for